The story of R&B in Japan goes way back, further than you might think. From funky city pop in the 70s to today's moody global hits, Japan has built its own R&B universe, borrowing from the West and putting its own twist on it. So let's take it back to where it originally began. The story of Japanese R&B actually starts way earlier than a lot of people think. In the 70s and 80s with city pop, Japan's own hybrid of jazz, funk, disco and soft rock, basically an R&B playground before R&B was even mainstream in Japan. At the same time, Western music was blowing up globally, and especially in Japan. Hip-hop was spreading through films like Wild Style, and legends like Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind & Fire, and of course Michael Jackson were dominating the world. And Japan wasn't just watching, they were absorbing this information. By the 90s, city pop had faded from its spotlight, but Japan's fascination with the Western sound didn't disappear, it evolved. R&B in Japan started to explode. Artists began adopting American-style vocal delivery, structure and production, but with a uniquely Japanese twist. They weren't copying, they were reinventing. Artists like Toshinobu Kubota, Masayuki Suzuki, and Dreams Come True helped push the fusion into the mainstream, laying the foundations for J-R&B. But one moment changed it all. Montel Jordan's 1995 hit, it wasn't just big in the West, it sent serious waves through Japan. For many listeners, this was the first real exposure to modern R&B. Because of this wave, Japan's first true R&B dedicated artists were born. The most notable, Double, originally a sister duo, Takako and Saiko, but tragedy struck when Saiko passed away. Double became a solo act overnight, but instead of fading away to obscurity, Taiko rose. Songs like Shake in Bed showed her smooth, sluttery vocals and sleek, authentic R&B production. But what truly set her apart was her bilingual ability, seamlessly switching between Japanese and English, bringing Japan closer to the true R&B sound than ever before. Double didn't just participate in it, she redefined it. If you want a deeper dive into Double, Pop Story has a great video on her that I'll link in the description down below. Now of course, Double wasn't the only one rising in this era, because the GOAT herself in 1999 stepped in. Hikaru Utada dropped First Love, and when I say legendary, I'm not exaggerating. This is still Japan's best-selling album of all time, and I actually own it because Utada is my favorite Japanese artist, and third favorite artist after Tupac Shakur and Michael Jackson, but that's way off topic. What made First Love so special was its blend of R&B, pop and ballads. Every track felt different and there was zero skips. The standouts, Automatic, Moving On Without You and Can You Keep a Secret. Utada didn't participate in J-R&B, she mainstreamed it. What set her apart was her identity. Japanese born, American raised. She understood both worlds. On top of that, she writes and produces most of her own music, so everything feels really personal and intentional. Utada's had the chance to work alongside Japan's biggest IPs, from Kingdom Hearts, Evangelion, and most recently Chainsaw Man, alongside Kenji Yonezu. She's also had the opportunity to collaborate with artists like Sam Smith and has performed at Coachella. Her influence isn't just R&B, it's the entire Japanese music industry. But for this video, we're gonna stick to R&B so we don't go off topic. Another massive artist in this era was Crystal K, often referred to as Japan's Queen of R&B. She also started her career in 1999, but just at 13 years old, with her first album, Eternal Memories. It was well received, but her real breakout moment came way later. Tracks like Motherland and her album, Almost 17, is what really put her on the map. And this is where Crystal separated herself from everybody else. Her vocals were strong, soulful and controlled. Her production, a clean fusion of pop and urban contemporary R&B. You could even argue that she surpassed both Double and Hikaru in terms of pure R&B artistry. Where Utada blurred genres and Double pioneered the lane, Crystal refined it. She became a blueprint of what a female R&B artist in Japan could look and sound like. And just like Utada, her multicultural background came in clutch. Being Japanese, Korean and American gave her a unique advantage. She understood the roots of R&B while making it resonate with the Japanese audience. But what made her impact really different was her audience. She reached a much younger demographic. She helped make R&B feel cool, modern and accessible to a modern generation in Japan at the time. As the 90s ended and the 2000s began, R&B went fully mainstream. More and more artists were hungry to make a name for themselves in the genre. The charts were dominated by heavy hitters like I, Chemistry, Thelma Ayama, Suelu, Full of Harmony, and Nami Amuro, alongside with the previous generation of pioneers. Just like in the West, Japanese R&B began intersecting with hip-hop, dance, and club culture, creating what is known today as J-Urban. This fusion broadened the style, appeal, and mainstream reach, giving Japanese R&B its own distinct identity. As the 2010s rolled in, the internet changed everything. Blogs, mainstream services, and social media platforms opened up floodgates. Japan's R&B scene didn't change, it evolved. Artists began branching into new subgenres like neo-soul, lo-fi, and trap R&B, all heavily inspired by what was going on in America. The biggest names in this era, Frank Ocean, The Weeknd, SZA, Tory Lanez, and Bryson Tiller, were redefining R&B in the West, each with a unique sound far different from the 90s and the 2000 styles that Japan fell in love with. Instead of repeating the previous generation, Japan's artists started branching off and doing their own thing. R&B became its own genre in Japan, using the Americans as a blueprint. This was the era where Japan's R&B scene found its own identity, bold, diverse, and ready to influence the next generation. As we reach the present day, Japan's R&B scene is as vibrant as ever. Artists like Daichi Yamamoto, Fuji Kaze, and Yafo, and many more keep the genre alive and pushing it forward. The sound has evolved massively from the 90s and 2000s. Back then the focus was powerful vocals, ballads, and new jack swing styles. Today it's minimalistic, moody, and atmospheric, drawing influences from neo-soul, trap R&B, lo-fi, and alternative R&B. Vocals are softer, more intimate, and more emotionally driven. Production has shifted from live instruments, analog gear, and drum machines to mostly digital setups with soft synths, lo-fi drums, and ambient textures. The biggest change though, the global appeal. Many artists sing entirely in English, aiming for an international audience. The genre has grown into a major part of R&B, bridging East and West like never before. If you enjoyed this video, please check out my other series where I delve into Japan's love for hip-hop and anime's love for hip-hop. If you're interested in that, please check them out. That's all for today's video, and I'll see you guys again next week with another one.